Okay, I'm going to go over the cost curves. I think I put in there, do not be intimidated by cost curves, all right? It does look like a bunch of spaghetti thrown on a wall if you haven't looked at it a couple times, but if you can just look at that video that I posted, probably watch it once or twice, read the book once or twice, and it'll come clear. This chapter is very similar to what we did in chapter 3 with it being a whole new concept. So I think it helps to read it twice. And also, this is the foundation for the next 4 chapters. If you get the cost curves down, you will definitely ace the exam, all right? So just practice as much as you can. If you need more problems, let me know. So as far as the cost curves are concerned, let me give you a diagram here. Let's continue with the problem I had said about Alex and her company. So on cost curves, you're always going to have the quantity on the bottom axis, and I'm always going to have a price. And it could be a price of anything. It could be the cost, or it could be the revenue, whatever it happens to be. These are always going to be my money side, okay? Notice with the cost curves that it tells me here, at a price of 20, I'm going to try to recreate it here. 20, 0, 8. Here. Actually, I was going to stop the video, but I think I'm going to go ahead and go with it because I'm too lazy to redo it. All right, I have a cost curve up here called B. I'm going to have this. This is called A. And variable cost. This is called C. All right. So, and notice here, so I have these cost curves. What I kind of like is you should be able to recognize that your marginal cost curve is always going to be the one that kind of looks like a swoosh. Right? So this is your marginal cost curve. So you can replace A with marginal cost. And by now you should have done the problem and understand that the marginal cost curve will always intersect the variable cost curve and the total cost curve at their minimum point here. Right? And what that means, if you think about your average, so let's just say we're talking about my grades. If this is my average variable cost, right? Excuse me, or my average grades. If my average is, say, a 10, right? And the next score I get, which would be my additional or my marginal score, is below my average, what happens to my average? You already know this, it pulls it down. So when the marginal cost curve is below the average variable cost, right? It's going to be pulling that average down. Then at the min, it will start passing it, and so you'll see the marginal cost curve is above the average variable cost curve, and it'll start pulling the averages up, all right? One of the lucky things is you don't have to really worry about fixed cost, and this because fixed costs are kind of like left off to the side. Let me draw them with a pen though, just so you can see if I ask you to draw them in. But your fixed cost and your average fixed cost formula, if I had to draw the average fixed cost in here, your average fixed cost is always going to be your fixed cost divided by Q. So your fixed costs, no matter what they are, as Q and Q gets larger and larger, right, this is nothing here. Let's say they started out here. As Q gets larger and larger and larger and larger, this line here is going to asymptote, get closer and closer to 0, right? Because the denominator is getting larger and larger, right? This is your average fixed cost. And normally you don't have to worry about this, but I just wanted you to make sure that you're aware where it sits. All right, so the problem tells us at this point here, at E, we're at 8, at D, we're at 20. So what is the average fixed cost curve, all right? We said this would be your average fixed cost curve down here. What is fixed cost? Does this number change when Q equals 20? All right, so your fixed cost, if I want to calculate my fixed cost, what I know is that I know for a fact that my total cost here is going to be equal to 20 per unit, right? This is a per unit piece. So if my fixed cost is equal to 20 on one specific unit, like on the 20th unit, my total cost is 20. On my 20th unit here, my variable cost is 8. So I know that variable cost plus fixed cost equals total cost. All right, we said that in the graph when we were working on the table. So if I take 20 minus 8, it tells me that I have a $12 fixed cost per unit. All right, so and my fixed costs are not going to change at all here. All right. What is the variable cost? So at 20, the way you read this, it says at 20 units, what is your variable cost? You read it by going up to this graph here and then going to the left. My variable cost at 20 units is 8. If I had asked you what your variable cost of 30 units are, you could go out here to 30, you would come up to the variable cost curve, and you would have come over here and read it off, whatever number that happens to be. That's how you read these graphs. So get very comfortable and familiar with reading the graphs, because the exam is going to ask you, what is the variable cost at 20? What is the variable cost at 40? Where should this person produce? All right, let's go on to D. What is the total cost at 20? At a price of 20, go all the way up to my total cost, and I find out, hey, it's going to be 20 per unit. So if I wanted to figure out what my total cost is, if I know that my average total cost is equal to my total cost divided by Q, all right? So this is my average total cost curve, and I know at 20, my average total cost is 20. So if I put in a 20 here, that's my average total cost curve, which is TC over Q. If I multiply it by the number of units, 20, I will get, these two will cancel, I will get my total cost. Because if I multiply TC over Q by Q, the Q's cancel out and I'm just left with total cost. So my total cost for producing 20 units is going to be equal to 400. All right, let's see if you can do it. Calculate the variable cost. Pause the video and calculate the variable cost. All right, so with variable cost, I know that at 20 units, my variable cost is equal to 8. So remember the formula for average variable cost is equal to variable cost divided by Q. So it makes sense if I were to multiply variable cost by Q times Q, I am going to end up with my total variable cost. All right, let's plug this in. So I have an 8 times 20 tells me that I'm going to have 160 variable cost. So my fixed cost is going to be 400. My variable cost, my total cost is going to be 400, and my variable cost is going to be 160. Which means when it asks me what is my average fixed cost, I can take my 12 units times 20, gives me 240 is my total fixed cost. To get my average cost, I just divide it by the number of Q. On average, how much do each of one of these little 20 things in here cost me with my fixed cost? And that gives me a 12. Does that make sense? That's the 12 that matches back up here. So shade in the area that represents the total variable cost when Q is 20. So if I'm looking at this graph and I want to figure out what is my total variable cost, I can come in and I can go. Everything underneath the variable cost curve is going to be my variable cost. Kind of like when we did dead weight loss, everything underneath that curve is going to be my variable cost. And if I had asked you instead to completely block in your average total cost, you would have come up here and done the entire thing. All of this is cost. $20, 20 units at a price of $20, this whole box here will be 400. What you cannot answer right now in this problem is this a profitable firm? In order for me to know if it's profitable, I would have to know what they're actually selling the product for. I know that it costs me on average 20. So if the price happens to be somewhere under 20, I might have to think about producing it.